Hello and welcome back to my channel, and thanks for joining me with my Shattered Isles solo campaign. We are in the middle of character creation and generation. We are going to continue with this process now. I have my worksheet in front of me. We'd already just done some attributes. Garnet, the spearhand, was rather disappointing in his might and cunning. He more than made up for it with his spirit, his self-belief. However, what we're going to have to do is probably try to come up with a bit of a backstory for Garnet to compensate for that. The other two characters are excellent. Kayla, fantastic with her cunning and spirit. Necht, very good all-rounder. Because they are the business, they can probably keep Garnet on the straight and narrow for the short term. Maybe Garnet will come through part of my advancement system that I can come in explain in a later episode. So next on our list, I have got this item I call talent, and talent is basically, what I've said is, instead of having long skill lists, the role determines the character's core competencies. So when we were looking at those particular roles, I had some little notes on what the competencies were and the type of skills that the individuals would have. So for example, when it came to, let's get from my list, when it came to say hill hunter, skilled in tracking and hunting across glens and moors, can always find signs of animal or human movement in wild terrain. So that's basically his or her core skill and competency, and that's assumed to cover a variety of things that I'm just going to use my discretion on what it covers, because a lot of the purpose of this role-playing game is that I use my own judgment, and with a fairness that is applied based on the fact that I don't want to cheat myself, because if you're only doing that if you are basically trying to fudge things, and I will try to have a very sensible view on things, how things should pan out. I basically want that to be the spirit of the game, and with the view that I don't want an overcomplicated and over-engineered product. I want something that is basically simple to play and very easy for me to interpret. So moving on, really, this talent is really just adding on to that by saying, instead of having this long skill list, the role determines the character's core competencies. However, while the following talents, to get a bit of interest in, we can have these following talents describing an extra ability the character has acquired in the past. So for each of our characters, we're going to roll 1d10, and we are going to have potentially another ability that we've acquired in the past. And hopefully Garnet can get something to compensate for his rather deficient. He is a sea raider, so he knows all about being on a boat and that type of stuff, so he's very good on that. 10 for Kayla. So Kayla is, this is known as Firekeeper. Knows how to start and maintain fire in almost any condition. So that's quite useful. Firekeeper. All these skills are all tied into a Pictish culture, a pre-technology type thing, where things like being able to start fires is a great skill. And we have that with Kayla in spades. So what does Necht get? And Necht is a storm caller, can predict weather changes with uncanny accuracy. So that could be very useful. A bit of a meteorologist in Pictish speak. Storm caller sounds much more romanticized. And then Garnet, poor old Garnet, let's see what he gets. 3. Garnet with his spiky limed hair. Stone lore, knows the stories, power and hidden meanings of carved stones and symbols. All right, so maybe he is going to go more over to his spiritual side. That could be an interesting way. The fact that he thinks, well, maybe I'm not really cut out for all this martial stuff. My calling maybe is, rather than running around in this boat, is to look at a bit of lore, stone lore, and the druidic way, the mystic's way. So stone lore. He knows all about the stories, power and hidden meanings of carved stones and symbols. And carved stones and symbols are going to be a major feature of this campaign. Okay, so that's us done talent. We're going to move on to some vital statistics. And when it comes to vital statistics, I have something called health, which is basically like your hit points. And you start with 6 plus your might score. So we've got 6 plus, so 11 for Kayla. We have 6 plus 6, 12 for Nech. And 6 plus 3 is 9 for I'm not going to go into any more detail just now on that. I'm just going to say that that is that. You'll see how that works when we come to some form of combat, or they face an instance where they suffer injury or whatever. Luck, this other nebulous vital statistic, which allows you to reroll a failed check or avoid a blow. All characters start with 2 points. So it's almost like you can use that up. That's your natural luck. And again, that's a big feature of Pictish society. There's belief that some people were lucky. So our adventurers start out with something in the bank already. And then another nebulous term, carry, which is basically like your encumbrance. And again, I wanted to be quite simple on this. Characters carry items equal to might plus 3 before slowing down. So let's do might plus 3. So that's just going to be might of 5 plus 3, we can carry 8. And for Net, 6 plus 3, we can carry 9. And for Gartnet, 3 plus 3, we can carry 6. Okay, so we've more or less done all the kind of almost like the physical or mental aspects of the character. Let's move on to something I call equipment, and we give each character one weapon suited to their role. And if we have a martial character, we can choose a defensive weapon if we roll a 5 to 6 on a d6. So let's do, we'll do our herbalist first. And these are the things that we've got on show. We've got a short sword or a long knife, and I've got their description of them with a quick narrative of how they're used in combat. So we've got short sword, long knife, a spear, a club, a cudgel, a dirk, a dagger, a long spear, a lance, a war staff, throwing spears, bow, sling, round shield, and small buckler. So I would say that maybe Kayla is going to be more on the, let's maybe do a war staff. Hardwood staff, sometimes iron tipped, sweep multiple foes, useful in rough terrain. So she can use it as a kind of combo type thing. So I'll give her that. And that's quite aggressive as well. Yeah, she's going to look quite the business. So war staff with her. Next, she's got a chance of having a defensive item. 5 to 5 or 6, so she does. So let's give her a round shield as her defensive, and her primary weapon is probably going to be a shield, a spear, because we do have things like throwing spear, javelins, long spear, lance, or I would say let's go from devastating, an axe. And what else have I got? I do have a spear. The most common weapons, ash shaft, iron head, keep foes at bay, can be thrown in a pinch. So let's do a spear. We'll keep to type on that one. It's a spear and a round shield. So that's 2 items she's got. So make a note of that. And then we'll do Gartnet. And Gartnet, he can have... he is also semi-martial. I would say not really Sea Raider. I think he's not really, I don't think he qualifies for the other item. So let's see what would be applicable to him. He's on a boat. Maybe a short sword or a long knife. Yeah, I think so. We'll go for the short sword for him. So that's... And again, you might think, well, Brian, you're really just rattling through this, and I think that's part of the idea. I don't want to be kind of bogged down in tables and whatever. I just want to make quick, almost managerial decisions. And, if I come to another character, I can quickly go through the process and add them in. So we're also going to choose one tool or item linked to their role. So we do have a healer. So the healer is going to have a choice between a herb satchel, a clay pot for poultices, or bone needles. So let's just do a random for that. I don't really want to waste my time trying to decide. So clay pot for poultices. So that's very useful. Clay pot for poultices. Okay, and Necht, she is a spearman, and a spearman is a spear, round shield, or whetstone. So we already have the wheel spear, we already have the round shield, and let's get a whetstone. So that is sharpening blades, or maybe sharpening her spearhead. And our final one, the sea raider, and a raider is an oar, a rope, or a small sailcloth. So what's it going to be? We're walking around with these oar. So 6, he has got a small sailcloth. You never know, that might come in useful. Small sailcloth. Maybe he could just rig up a little coracle and get the sailcloth on, and we're off. Off to the races. Let's do a miscellaneous item next, and we roll one miscellaneous item of gear where we roll from this table, and this is a D12 table. Oh dear, I've got to get my D12 out, which is a bit crazy. So let's see where my D12 actually went. It's really gone a bit AWOL, the D12, but I'll get my dice roller for it. What we're going to do is I'll just roll the D12 for each of them and make a note of what they are. So we have one here, we have 2 here, and we have 10 for this one. Okay, yes, just so that it behaves itself. Okay, so 1 is for Kayla. She has got a drinking horn, a curved animal horn polished for feasts. In narrative use, share mead at gatherings, a symbol of hospitality. So that's good, a drinking horn. Drinking horn. So hopefully by the end of this process, you can see how these characters are building up, just their overall appearance. And this is going to be a big part of this game that I want, kind of almost an immersion. So you really feel that you're becoming part of the world. And if you can visualize what these characters kind of look like, and I can kind of maybe major on these things at times, you know, to go on about the lime hair, you know, the scar down over the eye, the painted with the clan symbols, and just mention that as we go through and do the role playing. It might actually be quite good for the immersion feeling. And then we have number 2, which is a torch, a wooden shaft wrapped with resin-soaked cloth, light the way in darkness or in caves. Well, that's very useful. So we have our torch for Necht, and we can use our fire ability to light it. So that's a good thing. And then we have a final one from Gartnet. And Gartnet has got, he's got a 10 bone dice, carved from animal bone, often decorated, used for games, divination, or wagers. All right, so the old bone dice. So maybe he can use that. Might not any games of intellect or cunning, because he's going to be probably duped. It's probably more his divination, that type of thing. He's going to be using his bone dice on. We now move on to something I call magic. Now, magic in this world is, and I've got this optional at the start. Magic is rare. It's tied to the land and steeped in superstition. Instead of spell this, we are going to use what I call gifts of the spirits. And these are subtle, mysterious abilities that might sometimes work depending on omens, mood of the gods, or the ruling of the GM, i.e. me. So a starting pool of magical abilities for certain characters with mystical leanings can be used as possibly raw talent, but might also be acquired and refined from study and teaching during the game. So I'm saying for mystical roles, we're allowing characters to start with 1 charm, which has a simple effect like ward against spirits or light a small fire. So we have a mystical character here. So I'm going to say we have a charm. So it's maybe let's say ward against spirits. Ward v Spirits. This is Kayla's charm. We don't have any others, so no one else is going to get it. And also, in addition, a latent ability or two if they roll below the spirit on a d10. Well, they are going to have that because they have a spirit of 10. So I'm going to say that they can get a second ability. And maybe we might be generous to Garnet and allow him to maybe have a second ability too. So I don't think Nech needs anything. I think she's okay. But let's roll for... we're going to have 1 or 2 for... I would say it's probably going to be 2 for Kayla because she is so charged up with a 10 for her spirit. She is going to roll twice on this table. So let's get our d10 out for her. So let's find out what she gets. She gets a 10 and she gets a 4. So we're going to have 10 and 4. And 10 on this is Tide Pool. Feels the flow of rivers and seas, allowing instinctive navigation by water. Wow, isn't that? I bet Garner wanted that. Tide's Pool. So that's one almost magical ability. We also have 4, which is a Shadow Veil. In darkness, the character is harder to notice, as if shadows favor them. Okay, so all will become clear when we use this. Shadow's Veil. We have Garnet, and we'll give him it if he rolls his spirit or less. He does just. So what's he going to get on the list? He gets 3. Stone Memory. Touching an ancient carved stone gives flashes of the past. So that ties in a bit with his stone lore that he had as a special talent. So that maybe is time. Maybe this is it's beckoning him towards the druidic bent. He is. It looks as though that's the type of thing that maybe he should be getting involved in. So I've got 3 Stone of Memory. So maybe that's something I can work on just with Garnet in the interim. Okay, that's good. So what we've done now is we've basically finished all the steps, all the things that I wanted to do in character generation at this stage. And Brennan says, he pulls us up, he says, "You are fully formed." He says, "So your name is set, your face carved by wind and fate, your path chosen. You stand now as one among the folk of the Shattered Isle, bound by blood, craft and station. But know this, our role is not a prison. The warrior may yet fish, the farmer may yet fight, and the bard, well, the bard will always talk too much, ha ha." And he's kind of looking maybe at Garnet a bit and saying, yes, you could maybe diversify in your path. Maybe you could do retrain or something. Next, we will dig deeper into what you are in the eyes of your clan, how your standing shapes your choices, and how the fates weave you together with others into a single band. And when that is done, the Isle will open before you, and you will find yourself in a place where there is no turning back. So we get that quite arousing final speech from Brennan. We feel quite inspired by the whole thing. We can do the famous next steps, what we're going to do in the next episode. Yes, tell us, Brian. So we now have a band of 3 characters with names, appearances, roles, and basic details. This is the result of our trials and deliberations. I think we've got quite an interesting mix of individuals: 2 female, 1 male. Heavy maybe on the warrior side. However, we do have some deficiencies. Maybe it's going to come balanced. It's going to come much more to the mystical if Garnet decides to follow a different path. Some interesting things with their equipment and with their abilities we can weave into the narrative as we proceed. So in the next session, we will learn more about how the role connects to social standing. So this is something I mentioned, I think, in the last episode, where I was saying that the role is also connected to where you are in society, and social class being a very important, like any hierarchical society, we are talking something which is of major importance. So the character's role automatically places them within a social class, and this influences how NPCs react to them and what opportunities are open. So I'm going to show you how that works. Maybe just go 5-10 minutes going into a bit more detail on that. Include some driving motivations based on authentic Pictish cultural values. That is what we're going to do with them. We're going to see. I'm almost going to give a kind of recap of what Pictish cultural values are, what they viewed as important in the society, and how we can drill that into maybe some of the characters and say, well, this is really what makes you tick. Also, I'm going to have a little brief resume from each of the characters, just to say, well, this is what I'm all about. Almost like a little kind of intro, that type of thing. We're also going to add a few Pictish inspired twists and features to the character creation. So I'm not really at liberty to talk about that just now, but I do have some ideas, and I'm going to maybe inject even more character into it. And from the party, we're going to decide how the characters know each other or why they are together. So this is the bit of where I was saying they're going to maybe do their introductions to them. So we'll do a bit of role playing on that. And they become the bound companions, the Kov Char each, and that is what that says in Pictish. They are the bound companions. We'll begin the campaign by placing the party in their first situation, which is an event or a location that sparks the story, and they will commence what we call their Teirgeda, or adventure. And that is from the Brythonic, which is the ancient Britain, Teirg, which is undertake or seek, plus Ada, which is a state or action. So it's Teirgeda, which is our adventure that we will undertake. So I think I have reached the end of this process. I have been quite pleased with what we have generated. Hopefully you found this quite interesting, just to see how basically, so it's not a complicated system that I'm going to be using. That was the whole point. In fact, I generated more rules mechanics than I thought I was going to. The way it's going to be a very light touch. The way I'm going to implement this going forward, I am really going to try to push the immersion rather than the mechanic. That is kind of the central ethos. So hopefully I have tantalized you. You're going to be looking forward to what Kayla, what Necht and Gartnett say about themselves at the start of the next episode. What interesting facts. I have a bit of time to maybe digest and give them a bit more kind of joie de vivre, a bit more kind of background, a bit more gravitas, so that they can come across as quite compelling characters for us to follow. And we feel we have a stake in their future and their destiny. And also, let's find out more about the Shattered Isle. We don't really, apart from some few storm clouds and flickering lightning in the distance, we don't really know what is happening around us. We are going to be placed into that environment in the next episode. Okay, well, thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time.